Good morning, Steph. Welcome back. Off the back of a convincing victory against Juve, how are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, good. You feel good? Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Loz. Yeah, feeling good. I mean, time of recording, we play Inter tomorrow night.
We do.
Yeah, it's first win under Conceição. Conceição? Is it the latter? I pronounced that right? I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think so, but I'm not
Yeah,
Portuguese, so
yeah.
who
Okay.
knows?
Under Sergio, we call him Sergio.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
Serge.
yeah. First win under his belt. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk on the method of the victory, which is not pretty, but like, is this what resembles like Sergio Conceição's tactics, where it's, and he said it in his presser, whereas all that matters is winning, and it's
Mm,
something that we've lacked, probably, well, certainly from Fonseca's methodology, and just probably see it that quick, and I think it's kind of the game in itself, and you covered it on a live stream, symbolized probably the before and the after, and where we're going to versus where we were. Like, probably there's
mm,
so much concentration on wanting to play good football. The first half was disappointing, and it was very poor. And you turn that round into just, how do we get out of hell? How do we just do what we need to do to win and to score a penalty, and equally a very fortunate own goal, but nonetheless doing the right things in the second half that deserved the victory, is exactly what Sergio Conceição's methodology represents. So yeah, no, yeah, I feel all
absolutely.
right. I feel good, and I think there should be a bit of a new lease of life now going into the second half of the season. We've got the Super Cup final on Monday, but I'm excited a little bit, and I'm hoping, we keep talking again with the January market, but I'm hoping they can get
Mm,
some players for this new coach. That can get us
absolutely.
even more excited.
And I think that's the perfect segue into talking about
Mm.
this week's topic, which we're talking about a particular player which embodies not just what I think Sergio's trying to do and imbue into the team, but what he's represented since he's kind of joined the club. And we're
Mm.
basically going to discuss or shine a light on Christian Pulisic, and I'm going to ask you, and we're going to discuss: is he now becoming our best player? Is he our best player? And
Mm.
do you think he will leave Milan at some point in the future as a legend? What would he have to do to achieve that status? So yeah, let's all talk
Mm.
about Captain America, basically.
Captain America, let's go, baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I think this season um, you, other than probably the last 3 to 4 weeks, you'd argue a clear statement that he's been our best player. That's without a
Mm,
doubt. I think Reinders has now picked up steam, and probably you can argue between the two of them. Um, so yes, right now he is at the very least our best player on form. Um, I think. I mean, we speak a lot about the core of the players that get a lot of attention, especially the renewal players like Mike and Teo Hernandez, and Rafael Leao is obviously on paper and from uh, a neutral perspective our best player as well. And then you've got Reinders and Fofana in great form. I'm not saying he scopes under the radar, Pulisic, but we do kind of, I don't know, I feel like there probably is that bit where maybe some fans, even probably including myself, are victim to not including him into that
yeah,
those ranks of being, the players that we can. And I don't want to say like rely upon, because I can 100% rely upon Pulisic, but is there like a narrative that we tend to just sometimes forget about him, and like,
yeah.
yeah, like he's
He,
first name on the team sheet at right wing. That's not a problem. We're not debating that, but it's more, he's I don't know. I just feel like there's a bit of like him being the upper echelon, like the top caliber Milan players. It's almost, it feels, and maybe he falls victim to the right wing always being these workhorse players,
mm,
such as your Maciases and your Salamakers and your, even like Chukwueze is probably more in that caliber as well. That he falls victim to that, rather than, let's really look at it. He's technically a very good player. He's putting up great numbers, which we can come on to. And then there's other elements as well. I think we don't really concentrate enough on, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, American people, watching this right now. Uh, the marketing element that he provides to this club of American owners. We're doing tours to America every year now. So he's bringing new fans. He's America's best player, and
he's their biggest player, biggest
yeah,
brand in America by
and
far.
he's not succeeding at Milan because of like some sort of biased treatment of him. He's succeeding in a new country at a new club because he's fucking very good player. So yeah, I mean,
It's an interesting. I
yeah,
think touching on your point about his representation. Like if you look at, I don't think his. I think it's twofold. One, I think he's had a bad rep for years. Not a bad rep, but he's had this like because of his time in the Premier League, because he was touted so big when he was at Dortmund when he was, as a teenager. And also, I don't think his actual on the field performance is flashy. Like if you look at Reinders, you look at Leao, they're very silky players. Pulisic isn't like that. So I almost feel like he's doing himself a disservice in a way. But I do think at the same time, if he continues this path, even the Premier League people, the Chelsea fans that hated him or whatever, will wake up. And I think the world is slowly starting to wake up that actually Pulisic is a quality player. Like he's actually quality.
mm,
Um, I want to touch on, and we'll do it probably later, what
mm,
he actually represents on the field is exactly what we need from Milan. He's the only player I can think of outfield that we have that does not give up from the moment the ball is kicked to the moment
mm,
it goes for the 90 minutes or however long the match ends up being with added time. And that's something that I don't think any other player we have. Maybe Manyan, but he's a goalkeeper, so it's kind of different.
mm.
So yeah, what do you think about that, Steph? What do you think about his kind of like attitude, approach to the games on the field? I think it's sensational, to perfect.
Mm. Yeah, I think yeah, it's a good point because I think if you really look at it, he's probably the one player from a statistical perspective puts up great numbers
He does, yeah.
whilst also working extremely hard. You can say like, and it's usually one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reinders and Liao. I'm not saying they're not hard workers, and Liao's always once again falling victim to a
Mm,
lazy player. But you cannot compare the work rate that Pulisic puts in from a defensive perspective, an all-round game perspective, versus Reinders and Liao. It's just it's probably like 20 to 30% more than the
yeah.
other two players offer. And then when you look at like we do kind of have players that work hard. I think Fofana's obviously a bit more of a workhorse.
True,
It's
yeah.
part of his game, but then he puts up great assist numbers, but like not nowhere near obviously Pulisic, even though Pulisic is a forward. But then if you compare it to Chukwueze and Morata, Abraham, who work hard, then put up the numbers that Pulisic does. I think the other thing as well, he's got great IQ for a player.
Yeah.
You made a great point on flashy, a lack of flashiness to his game. That's the bit where I kind of get quite annoyed in because you can't really beat a man, can he, on speed or skill the way that
Not
obviously that
really,
Leao
no.
does. Nah, or like even Brahim Diaz does when he can turn the shoulder
Mm,
a little bit. But like what he does is intelligent runs, can read the game really well. If you see most of his goals, and he gets a lot of great goals from long distance shots and stuff like that if he needs to. But like it's the way that he picks the run up, and it's a simplistic goal, or equally reads the move and then gets the rebound, or finds himself in the middle of the box or in a pocket of
mm,
space. And that's something that we don't have much of. And to put up these numbers, which 15 goals last season, 9 goals so far this season, it goes to show where in a time where we've needed forwards, let alone right wingers, to put up these numbers, he's been exceptional at it. And yeah, I think just going back to your point on his work rate, I think it comes down to that as well. If you're willing to make those runs, which I think it sounds like Conceição wants from his players.
yeah.
He talked about from that first half that Morata was making runs, but they weren't being picked up. And then you see kind of even that chance where in the second half when Emerson puts him through and then Morata cuts back in and he kind of fucks up the chance on the right side of the goal. But like those are but that's the stuff that
Yeah.
Pulisic does as well. So it's stuff you don't really see behind the scenes that the fundamentals of any modern football player have, and I think Pulisic has that in abundance. So
Absolutely. And what I love most about him, and I think we'll touch on why I think this topic was so good, is obviously the performance against the Super Cup. But before we go on to that in detail in terms of the fact he came back from injury, he's a player that his work rate hasn't. It's not been. It's a prerequisite to him. Like he's not. He under Pioli, bear in mind he's had 3 managers now at Milan, under Pioli, under Fonseca, and now Conceição, which obviously we've got very small sample size, but we don't need it because Pulisic's work rate has been undeniable in every single match he's played under every single manager. And I think he's a sort of player that any top manager in Europe. No wonder he's had big links. I don't think it's because he's like the flashy player that, whatever. It's because he'll play and he'll contribute. And that, I know that sounds so simple, but that's so rare in modern football, like you said, Steph. Like,
Mhm.
it's so rare. How many players are like that nowadays? There are very, very few. And we know that modern football, that is really important. Just working hard, running. But yeah, to bring it on to the match on Friday, the bloke came back from, I think, a month. Is it a month? 3 weeks to a month out?
Yeah, about 3 weeks. Yeah, but still, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He ran, I think, a kilometre and a half more than any other player on the pitch. It was
Mm,
like over 13k
mm,
kilometres. And the biggest thing for me was that challenge in like the 85th minute.
yeah.
The guy ran back. I can't remember who he tackled. I think it was Coop Miners, but don't quote me on it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was like Yildiz or something like that.
Oh,
But it was
yeah.
it was it was looking like a dangerous counter attack, and yeah, he just
And going back to your point about IQ, he didn't only just go back and challenge. He got the perfect yellow that any professional player you'd want
yeah,
to get to break up the play.
yeah.
We've been begging for a play like that. I think he's fantastic from that
Mm,
perspective, and I think any manager would be lucky to have a player like Pulisic. To be perfectly frank, even without the goal contributions,
yeah,
he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I like this is going to be a conversation where we talk about. I don't think there's anything I can pick on him negatively. From his output. Like, yeah, the game the other day, there was talk before the fixture. How long is he going to play? Will he come
Yeah,
off the bench? And we were talking in the chat as well. We were like, some people were saying he should come off the bench if he can't give you 90 minutes. And he ends up playing 90 minutes and running the most
running the
kilometers
most.
on the whole pitch, which is kind of like, I don't know, maybe some players wouldn't have done that, or like not as run as hard, or equally giving you 90 minutes. Like,
Mm,
but I wasn't surprised at the same time after the game, going like, it's just, as you said, it's a prerequisite that he gives you that. And that isn't, it's important. It's important in the world. And that's no wonder why he's linked with moves to some teams like Liverpool, who
yep.
probably are the best team in world football right now. And you think, and I think another reason for that is how adaptable he is across the front line. We've played him at not only right
100%.
wing,
Yeah.
which isn't his preferred position. We know for America who plays at left wing, which he's also played in that position as well,
Mm,
and still done very well. But we have a fantastic stellar player at the left wing that we have to play in that position. He's also played at centre attacking midfielder, which he still put up numbers and goals for. So regardless of the position he's been in for whenever he plays for us,
mm.
he scored goals and he's provided assists. So like, no wonder why he's being linked to Liverpool, because Liverpool want those sort of players. They got players like Diaz and Cody Gakpo, and Diogo Jota, who can play across the front line, and he would fit in perfectly with that squad.
And they all
And
work
probably
hard
would,
and run. Yeah.
yeah, and he'd put up the numbers, and probably if not more than he's doing at Milan. So yeah, I think probably it's a good segue onto like his contract, on why it's so important to get that renewal done, which from he's not his contract isn't running out for any any intensive purposes, but it's the money he's on and the money he should be earning, considering what we've just spoken about here, considering his marketing appeal, that he should be earning more. We need to lock him down, and even if he's getting on for another year or so, because we are going to get bidders coming in probably from the summer. Um,
Yeah.
Especially in from the winger position, any sort of attacking position right now, the market for it is always going to be in demand, especially from the Premier League where he used to play. So we need to be ready for that. So I think that's why it's so important to get his contract renewed, because he's on course to probably finish the season with 20 goals, let alone what he puts
Goal
up from a assist
contributions. Yeah.
perspective, because he's on 9 already. He's now officially, hopefully now the designated penalty taker.
Mm.
And if you can
Bloody,
think
bloody
about,
well should be if he
and
isn't.
yeah, it wasn't even a fucking perfect penalty the other day
No, it
against.
was. It wasn't. And okay, Di Gregorio, I think had an awful game. I think Juve were actually a crap team, but that's a different conversation. And I said this on the live stream, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. In a high pressure situation, he hit it hard enough. Yes, Di Gregorio got a hand on it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. He got it in
yeah,
the bloody net. Like,
yeah. All the history books will say is that he's still got 100% record at
that's it.
penalties for Milan. So you give him the keys to that now, and with the kerfuffle that we had in that Fiorentina game with Abraham and
Mm,
Tail taking the
mm,
penalty, that should now be squashed, because it should now be Pulisic, and you like to think that we are going to get a few more penalties before now and the end of the season. Probably,
yeah.
let's say on average 4 to 5. with his current record, that puts him on 14 goals. And the way he plays the game of football and probably the lack of winger options that we have on the right side, he probably is going to finish with 20 goals this season. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't.
I
And
agree.
then from an assist perspective, he's on, I think, 6 so far this season. He probably finish above 10. So that's like, if he ends up with 30 goal contributions, that is in one season. That's incredible. And he's, we ran up the stats. He's on 41 already in 71 games played. So 41 goals. There's 41 goal contributions. So 24 goals, 17 assists in 71 games. This is what we've been screaming for from a forward, let alone a centre forward, like, which we know we still need. But to have him come in and give us those numbers, which we've been craving for, to help out someone like Leao, just shows you how important he is.
I have a funny feeling, and he is beyond vital. And I mean, maybe at the end of this pub chat, we'll talk about the potential legend status. But let's compare him to someone like Leao for a second, right? He hasn't been here anywhere near as long. I think Leao's MVP season, the Scudetto winning season, he got about 30 goal contributions, right? Maybe even a bit less than that. But the only thing I can say to Pulisic that is a bad mark. Bear in mind, he's a penalty taker, which Leao doesn't bring to the team. He's a corner taker, which Leao doesn't bring to the team. The only thing is he hasn't proven to be a match winner in big games yet. That's the only thing I would say. And that's not even a bad mark because he brings so much every single match. But if, let's say, with under Conceição, maybe moving to next season, we get that renewal done. The bloke's just turned 26 in September of last year, so he's still relatively young. He's only about a year older than Leao himself. If he starts doing that, in my eyes, he's probably more important and probably the bigger star, because what other than the sort of match winning ability, which we don't see every game from Leao, we've seen it in dribs and drabs.
I was gonna say, like, who else gives you that?
Who else gives us that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No one else anyway. Yeah.
If Pulisic is able to then win, I know he got the equaliser, the Musa Gatti own goal, whatever. But if Pulisic is able to start, for example, if he wins us the match against Inter in the Supercoppa on Monday, or he wins us an important top 4 fixture like a return leg against Napoli or something like that, and he starts making a habit of doing that, for me, he's our most important player then, in terms of attacking wise. Anyway, I don't think you can deny that.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I was at least sad to say, like, he scored in the derby when we beat Inter.
True.
In September. Like, once again, it was the leading goal, and then they equalised, and then Gabbia scored at the end. But like, I think it's winning games versus scoring in big games is a two different things, isn't it? Because it's like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
like, he has scored in big games. He has scored against Inter now. I don't know if he scored against Atalanta, but, like, he scored against
Liverpool. He's the only player to score against Liverpool in the Champions League this season.
He scored against like Lazio in the past, and I'm sure there's other big games he scored in. Just equally like Leao has as well.
Yeah,
but I think from your point, it's probably more of it gives him that extra element of limelight that will be clipped into many videos around social media. That especially if he scores a winner, like, he could equally score the third goal against Juventus when Teo put him through on Friday night. But it was a bit of a more tame shot, and maybe he was, towards the end of the game, was just a bit, the fatigue was kicking in. But he certainly has it in caliber to add that. And I just think I'm just really impressed on what he offers us. And I'm just really happy that we've been able to bring in a player, especially in light of the poor signings that we have done over the last free markets 2 years now. That he stood out.
20 million euros he cost us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When I look back on the transfer, it's crazy, and there was a year left on his deal. Chelsea, they were doing a flash sale because they had to make up for the fucking herd of players they brought in. But I don't think we all quite expected what he was going to give versus what he has given. When we signed him, we probably thought, shrewd signing, very good. Even if he puts up 15 goal contributions a season, that's fair. But, like, he's succeeding that. So, and he's doing it now. It's not just a one-off. It is 2 seasons back to back, and he's improving on the second season as well. And And in a game where, as in the modern game, where a lot of eyes are on Leao and you can double, triple mark him, Pulisic will continue to get those chances because of that, and he'll continue to score goals and create assists because of the way he plays football. The never say die, always making those runs, intelligent IQ, and the sky's the limit if he wants to sort of improve on that as well. And we can only help him by getting better players in the attacking department as well, especially with like centre forwards coming in hopefully in the future.
Yeah, hopefully. Speaking of that, because of what he brings, I think I look back at the fact he's our penalty taker. I think he's our best corner taker as well. Like he just is. He brings absolutely so much. That's why we need to lock him down on those new terms, like you said at the start of the video. Like we absolutely need to give him that pay rise because I think he's very happy at Milan. I don't think he's looking at his head being turned, but at the same time, this is the best form I think he's been in his whole career, and the bloke has had experience winning big trophies. Yes, he wasn't pivotal, but he did contribute to the Champions League win for Chelsea. He's won big trophies, so he will want to do that. But I want to ask you, what do you think? Let's say he stays for the next 4 or 5 years, potentially. Do you think he will go down as a Milan legend? And what do you think he needs to do to achieve that? Because I genuinely think he's got all the minerals to be remembered much more favourably than Leao in the near future. What do you think he needs to do? I mean, the team needs to win trophies. I get that, but what would you like to see from Pulisic? Right?
Yeah, I was about to say, let's say he's 26 years old now. If he stays for at least another 4 years, if he stays with us till he's 30, I think the answer has to come from a trophy, and it's quite harsh to pin a team's success on his observation of a viewpoint of being a legend. Like for example, we can look at the Banter era and go, what a legend is obviously a player that you will look upon across any period of time and go like, he was instrumental for us. And you always look at that and you link that to winning trophies. However, certain clubs will have legends regardless of that. So like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a scenario like a club like Newcastle right now who are doing really well, but could probably put nowhere near winning a trophy. Maybe they might win like an FA Cup or Carabao Cup here or there, but certainly not a league, certainly not a Champions League. But then they could look upon a player like, I don't know, like an Isak or like a workhorse like Joe Linton or something like that. But like in 10 to 20 years time, go, fuck me, he was so crucial for us. And we kind of do that in a way with the Banter era players. Like in my mind, I've always got a massive piece of my heart for someone like Bonaventura, and Pulisic is better than Bonaventura, putting on better stats than Bonaventura. But like at the moment, right now, at the very least, he has, and he probably will finish in a place in my heart. So if he leaves after like 4 years from now, of a player in that caliber, if not probably better at that caliber. But if we want to compare him to your players of the past, I'm not trying to. With Milan, it's hard because we've won so much in the periods like the 2000s and 90s and the 80s. Not trying to compare him all the time with those players, but it's very hard when you talk about legends and that title.
Yes.
Not do that as well at the same time.
But I mean, compared to the current squad that he's in, I think if he's on this trajectory, he should be.
Yes. Yeah.
Regarded as the legend again. Yeah, you're quite right. It is with a club like Milan. It's tough to attribute anything unless we're dominating, which we're not, and hopefully we will in the future. But if he continues like this, if I look at all the other players in the squad, he has to be the most important. Again, this is speculative, right? But what he's brought in the short time he's been here, I think is just unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, once it kind of goes back to what I said before, and I think this is where he falls victim into. But in 10 years' time from now, and let's say this scenario happens that he gives us another at least 3 to 4 years, and he continues to play really well, will we be looking back and going, the first names off our lips will be Pulisic, or will it be Rafael Leao, or will it be Mike Mignon, or will it be Theo Hernandez, or will it be well, it would have been Tonali if he stayed as well, and it certainly won't be Tomori anymore. But will it be those first 3 players I mentioned? I certainly think when we talk about Fofana and Reinders, he should be above them personally. Reinders obviously has got a lot of caliber. I mean, both they're three excellent players. I'm not going to sort of break them down, but it's the prior three that I mentioned who were there with the Scudetto win, which is once again linked to a trophy.
Yes.
That it's quite hard to put Pulisic as the first name off your lips when you talk about this period of time. But who knows? Like any of those three players I mentioned before could leave soon, and he could last longer than them. And when when the dust is settled in 5 to 10 years, he could be the first name that we speak about. But let's say equally, if Teo and Mike and Leao are here for also another 3 to 4 years, and that's the same time that Pulisic is here, it's quite hard to put him at the first name. But I certainly think he's in that sort of like top 5 players we should consider across this period of time. That kind of mark their importance in. Yeah. But exceptional player. But I think we're saying this at a point where it's only a year and a half into his Milan career, which is crazy. Because we're already talking about it and we're already talking about its importance. That shows you enough to know that he is fucking like a very good player.
I mean, the stats you sent me earlier this morning, like what we've got 41 goal contributions in 71 games, which you've put, and you're quite right, that's 1 in 3 games he's scoring a goal. He's doing something like in a team that we're okay. I think we're a just above average team. If I'm being really like critical about us over the course of the last few years, or ever since the Scudetto win, he's not playing in a top team, and he's putting up those numbers. I think is, and again, look at who he's doing it against. Yes, he's not winning matches in terms of like being the winning goal, but he's done it against the Cagliaris of the world. He's done it against the Liverpools of the world, the Napoli. He's done it against every single run of opposition that we've had in every competition that we've been in. It's quite incredible, to be honest. And our last question I want to ask you, and I think this is something that is more of a perception that we have about Pulisic in comparison to a player like Leao. Do you think the fact that he's American goes against him? Because if you look at his international career, now you cannot compare the USA, the competition they play in, with European teams. All right, the Americans listening, I'm not trying to banter. I'm just being factual. But at the same time, he's captain, and his numbers for the USA are actually really good. Yes, okay, it's against Panama's and things like that, but you can only play what's in front of you, and he's done it. You compare that to someone like Leao, who is bit more like a bit part player. He's a starting player for Portugal, but he's not the guy, and he never really has been. I kind of feel sorry for the bloke because I don't actually think he gets the respect he deserves. I think he will if he continues. But what has Leao done other than? And look, this is not me shitting on. Let's be real. Still, our most talented player, but by a long shot. But like you said, it's because of his MVP performance, because he lifted the trophy, because he could beat a man, any right back in the world he'll beat. But Pulisic has got better numbers in a much shorter period of time, and he's a similar age, and he's done it on every single stage in world football. Is it because he's American? Don't know.
Yeah, probably is. It probably doesn't help him, which is. I think there's two things. You talk about a side. You talk about a country who, let's say, come to a World Cup. Yeah, America aren't in the conversation of nowhere near winning it. They'll get out of the group stage. They'll be lucky to get past the quarters. And historically, when you talk about best players in the world, they usually come from nations that, unless you are heads and toes, like Haaland for Norway or Salah for Egypt.
Yeah.
Even like right now, you see it with players like Alexander Isak, who plays for Sweden, and Gyökeres, who's from Sweden. They still are getting an element of disrespect to the way of how good they are as players because it's kind of but they're not consistent enough. And you know why? It's probably because you don't see them in the Euros, and you don't see them in the World Cup because they don't play for the nations that could equally, like from a team perspective, get them there or equally do them well. It's the reason why Ibra was victim for it as well. I think when you compare it to Messi for Argentina or Ronaldo for Portugal, who are obviously best players in the world, but like Ibra didn't have the respect that other players had. So I think from a strength of a nation perspective, I think he does suffer from that. But that's not his fault. He can't do anything about that.
No, of course not.
He represents the country he plays for. And that's why a lot of players you see, like especially in England, a lot of them would rather play for England than go for their core, the heritage nationality of like Ireland or Jamaica or wherever it might be. Or and they elect for England because it gives them a better chance for that limelight. And then I think to your other point on him being American, I agree. And I did this as well when I fall victim to it. And you could say I do this for players like Musa. I politely disagree with you when I think it comes to Musa, because I do think you could see the difference between quality and biasness. But bringing it back to Pulisic, which is the focus of this video, even when he joined, there is this sort of stigma because he's American that we go into it initially with a sort of a glass half full and go, yeah, he's all right. But we do kind of rein in our favorable sort of words because he's American, and maybe American people don't see it because there are people that will not see it. But I think as a European person, we fall victim to that. So I kind of agree on both things we said there.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite amazing. This has been a great episode that we've spoken about a player like Pulisic for half an hour, and honestly, we could probably go on for longer. It just shows you how important he's actually been for us. So obviously, guys listening, we'd love to know what you think. Hopefully, you agree with us, because I think it's kind of undeniable at this point. I think the reason why we spoke about this is, for me, is look at the Super Cup. You wouldn't get that from Leao. And again, I'm not trying to compare them. This is not what I'm trying to say, is they're different players, but he came back from injury and he ran them. Like, it's just his effort and his contributions are just at this point undeniable in such a short period of time. So I guess all we can say is let's just hope it continues. He puts his head down. I think under a manager like Conceição, he should go to another level, because he's the sort of player that I think will do really well. Conceição clearly appreciates and requires hard work and grinta in his teams, which Pulisic has abundance of. He's not like Tomori, who's sort of all passion but no delivery. Pulisic is passion and delivery, which is what you want. So yeah, we'd love to know what you guys think, whether you agree with us, whether you've already seen the light, and we maybe, as the European ignorant that we are, we've seen it too late. Who knows? But I'd love to be able to sit here in 3, 4, 5 years time and say, yeah, Pulisic is a legend in a way. Okay, again, legend is light, because we're not the dominant force we used to be. But yeah, I mean, all I can say is just let's hope he bags a couple goals against Inter on Monday. Before we go, what's your predictions for Monday, Steph? Because obviously we're doing this on the Sunday before.
Look, it's going to be a tough game. Juventus we play the Juventus side who equally like poor on form, and
they're not that good. They're actually not that good.
Yeah, I haven't got a clue what the result's going to be. I mean, and also they're missing Marcus Thuram as well, who's been in good form recently as well. So that's a good pro, but like you're still expecting a strong side to rock up. I think we'll lose 2-1. I don't put a lot of weight into the outcome. Don't get me wrong, if we win the game and we get a trophy, which I don't really, I care about, but I don't care about Super Cup, especially we didn't win a trophy. Like, you didn't qualify for it through normal terms.
Yes.
It's different to like when we won it back in 2018, 2017, and that's the only thing we had to cling into hope for and low expectations. This now, I just don't know. I think it's a fabrication of the trophy personally, even if we do win it. But for me, it's confidence, and I think you can get confidence of the result even if it's a loss or a win.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I just think as long as we stick to the methodology of what Sergio Conceição is trying to bring, and then equally get the players back in from injuries, and then signings, then I'm looking more towards the Serie A, try to get us back on terms there, the Coppa Italia, which I think I will take that as a trophy to win, and equally seeing out the last 2 games of the Champions League qualifying, like group stage thing, and with hopefully 2 victories to hopefully get us into the top 8 spot. Then those are the sort of things I want to see from this game. I really, there's a bit of me that kind of fears we go backwards into maybe it's too soon under the new coach, and we get our asses handed to us 3-0. I would really hate to see a result like that. So I just think as long as we represent ourselves well, even if we lose like 1-0, 2-1, fair enough. Inter are a fantastic side. They just beat Atalanta as well, who are equally a great side. I'll take whatever. But if we take into extra time and we lose on penalties, great. If we win the result, even better. But I have a feeling we're going to lose 2-1, which, you know what, I'll take that.
Yeah, I couldn't
Sounds a
agree
bit
with you.
shit, but like,
I couldn't agree with you more. I just don't want to see the legs wide open drubbing that we had in the Super Coppa last season. As long as there is defensive solidity, we've had a go at them, we've created good chances. I don't even need to say necessarily good football because the Conceição isn't necessarily attractive football. I just want to say good game management. I want to see effort. I want to see all of that stuff because you're quite right. Look, as much as we don't want to compliment Merda, they are far better. They should be winning this game. You know, this is the second game in charge for Conceição. But if we see development, we see buy-in from the players for Conceição's ideas, which I think we already saw in that second half. That's a victory for us. You know, don't get it twisted though. We win, we'll celebrate it like fuck. And if
mm,
Inter win, they will do the same. That's just what you do with a rivalry. But
mm.
yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I want a good performance, but
I, I think if Leao's not back fit for it, I have this sneaky suspicion, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens because you saw it towards the end of the game.
mm,
If he starts a back three and just kind of plays a bit of a war of attrition with Inter and goes like, we'll match you with formation. I know it's not something Conceição usually does from a formation perspective, but we saw Chao, Gabia, and Tomori play towards the end of the game, who are, in good form. I think you then put Teo on the left side. You put someone like Musso Jimenez on the right. You put Fofana and Reinders in the middle, or maybe Musa in the middle with the two of them, and then Jimenez on the right, and then you play Morata or Abraham with Pulisic up top and give them. We play more of it. It's going to be like a workhorse side that's going to not give them too much away, rather than usual sort of 4-3-3. But it's kind of like in a way a 4-3-3. But I mean, I'm trying to get Emerson Ray out the side.
yeah,
But I'll be interested to see what team he starts off with. And equally with apparently Leao being available to come off the bench might give us a different dynamic from a match winning perspective. But let's see. Excited for it in a way.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for the league action to come back. And look, the biggest thing is we touched on at the very start is the January window. We know that nothing's going to be coming out until after the Super Coppa game, whether we win or lose. So let's just hope the management have woken up to the fact that we need a bit of support to the boys. There's a lot of football to be played in January. It's going to be absolutely mental. So yeah, to wrap up, Pulisic is on his path to be a certified #Milan baller. And let's just keep seeing the team developing, and I think a player like Pulisic is going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah.
You want to know what you guys think? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. He's the reason why. Let's put it this way: we're currently filming this video where there's conversations about like Rashford being linked to the club.
Oh my god, yeah.
Which is like crazy. I mean, some people might like it or not like it, but in my mind, the first thing I think of going like, is that the player we need? And the reason why I say that is because we're getting goals from players like Pulisic. And do I need someone like Rashford coming in, who's another left winger, and when we will know we need a centre forward who can put up numbers? And the reason for that is because we're getting it from the left side, we're getting it from the right side, we're not getting it from up top, and that's because of what Pulisic has done for this club. I mean, yeah, fucking hell, I have to see Morata again and I've stabbed my eyes out. But
Don't.
Yeah. Look, another great video. But enjoyed the rest of your week. Well, the start of your week, guys. Rest of the weekend from the point of watching this. But yeah, sign off, innit?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cheers, guys. We'll be back next week. Have a lovely Sunday. Ciao, ciao.